Hello, everybody. This is the Buff Shaman. I am home from school, getting started. I got the timer because I got mashed potatoes on the stove, but I'll try and get through some stuff real quick. First and foremost, I was planning on this just being a review of the AMA, and it is going to be that, but we've also got a couple of other things. So I launched the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Reddit page today, and I got this as my first wonderful, wonderful greeting. I'd like to really express how awesome this is. I'd like to thank the community as you've all come together around this project. As a fan, I am super stoked about this. This is the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to in both video game terms and tabletop terms. It is funded. We are moving into production, or rather, Ocean Studio is moving into production, and we are going to get to reap the rewards. I appreciate all the work from all the community members that we uh, we got her done, and don't forget to stop by Dragons Demand Watchers subreddit because it's intended to be a place where we watch from Kickstarter start all the way to release and beyond. And it is funded. It is coming out. We are getting it. Next, I'd like to thank Ronald, the rules lawyer here. He posted this earlier in the day, and I don't personally know him, but I do enjoy his channel. He's been a real source of entertainment and education about Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and he threw his weight behind this, and awesome job, man. I really appreciate what you did here, and I actually hope to get to have a chat with you someday. But alas, let's move on to why we're actually here. The AMA. Unfortunately, I was not able to participate in this. I want my Kobolds DLC though. I really, really do. So, right about 11 my time, this started. I'm in college. I couldn't skip this, but I was really, really tempted to just skip class a day. Unfortunately, if I want to keep having a place to live to be able to play this at, I kind of need to get this education thing done and get myself employable. So I made the choice to stick with the going to school instead of doing the AMA. We're holding an AMA today from 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time. Answer questions about the Pathfinder, the Dragon's Demand CRPG Kickstarter. Today we have Alan Miranda, project director, and Luke Skoll, the designer and writer, joining us. Alan Miranda, project director and CEO of Ocean Studios, is a former BioWare producer on Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights games. Whose experience will be invaluable for helping the team focus on creating high quality, authentic Pathfinder experience. He directs many aspects of the game's vision in conjunction with the team leads, including narrative design, gameplay systems, artistic aesthetic, and audio production. He's got a lot of hats. Not gonna lie. That's a little bit intimidating. Alright, so we got Luke Skull here. Has been Ocean's lead designer and writer since 2006 and is a lifelong fan and student of RPGs. Is going back to Gold Box Games. He will ensure the game has that classic party-based role-playing feel with a riveting story and engaging characters. He is also an internationally published author, best known for the Grimm Company trilogy. The Kickstarter campaign for the revolutionary CRPG Pathfinder: The Dragon's Demand is over 95% funded, all the way funded now, and ends in just 2 days. We still have time to reach those stretch goals, guys. I really, really want those archetypes. We are thrilled to announce that we have received the Projects We Love badge on Kickstarter. Rekindle your love for role-playing with a game that blends nostalgia of tabletop gaming with cutting-edge 3D tactical combat, building your own unique characters, explore a vast world with climbing, flying and swimming, and defy a dragon's wrath. Based on the Pathfinder module, The Dragon's Demand, this expanded adaptation provides over 30 hours of immersive gameplay. I can guarantee you that with my alcoholic personality, this is going to go up exponentially. I expect I will lose at least a month's worth of time within the first year to this thing. I know me. This is a weakness, and it's a weakness I love having. 30 hours of immersive gameplay. Where the world of Golarion is brought to life by cutting-edge audio and visual effects, a beautiful music score, and professional voice acting. And don't miss out on the special rewards with authentic minted Absalom coins, dazzling digital dice, exclusive in-game items, and limited edition 3D printable STL files. Read the recent campaign updates. I also have those in video form. So if you just want to listen, go ahead and check those out. Updates to find out more about interviews with PC Gamer, Matt Chat, the Rules Lawyer, No Nat Ones, and others. GOG and Steam Deck support, implementing a faithful adaptation of the remastered Pathfinder 2nd Edition rules, the option to fully create your own party members. Again, my alcoholic self is thrilled at that last one. The Kickstarter campaign ends on Thursday, October 24th at 9 a.m. Pacific, so come and join the party at dragonsdemand.com before it's over. The AMA has ended, but we will continue to answer questions. Thank you for participating. Okay, so Looper's asking, how will refocusing, treat wounds, post-combat, etc. be treated? Mostly hand-waved when safe but disabled in a dungeon as it's dangerous to rest here type deal? Yeah, some automation when an area is designated safe. A potential risk of further encounters if not. Sleep 8 hours in the room before and recover everything just like the golden days of Neverwinter Nights. This is how the group I ran did AV. Lol. They'd find a room and secure the doors and then have a snooze. I'm like, guys, town is 15 minutes away. WTF. Alright. So, personally, I'm alright running it raw. Oh, wait, what? I have a comment that I missed. Okay. Well, alright. My GM smartly pushed the vault several hours away so we'd feel inclined to use the beach house from Troubles, or have to ponder, do we go back to town knowing 2+ days will transpire, or do we stay and risk it? And Ronald, personally, I'm alright running it raw to maintain some uncertainty because a computer can do all the burdensome math for us. I tend to streamline or hand wave it in the TTRPG. Maybe a UI where we can assign each PC's exploration activities, then click a button to execute. I mean, it seems like a good idea. We'll see how that turns out when the release product. Okay, Orc Paladin. How will you be dealing with lore changes since the remaster? I assume you won't have creatures like owlbears, but would dragons still be metallic chromatic like in the original adventure, or are they getting changed to the remastered dragons? We have we had to follow Paizo's guidance on this. They have a list of for creatures they gave us or they gave to us that they have either cut due to dropping the OGL or changed the name slash appearance of. For instance, the black dragon is now called Bog Dragon. Alright, seems fair enough. The same is true with spells, which I think are mostly some name changes. Eh, I miss my Ray of Frost. We need a new version of Ray of Frost, not the saving throw thing we got, but that sniping spell, because I used that range a few times, and that was a nice range to have. Okay, for instance, the Black Dragon is now called the Black Dragon. Okay, Bog Dragon. First time I heard that name. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, bogs are kind of, black, swampy, death-filled places. That is strange indeed and interesting. It's good to know there will be an equivalent for OGL dragons. Okay. Tangentially, according to War of Immortals, red dragons have been renamed to cinder dragons, and great worms have been renamed to arc dragons. The great worm red dragon. Uh, okay. Daralathixil got mythic power and was called the Cinder Archdragon. And I'm not going to try and pronounce that again because I know I butchered it the first time. For instance, okay, I'm surprised you're allowed to tell us this, but hell yeah, this is awesome. More of the pre-mastered dragons coming to the remaster is great, yeah. I agree. Uh, as someone who's run the module back in the day, I did find it interesting that the dragon shown in the teasers here is conspicuously not a green like it was there. Assumed remaster was part of why that was, though I'm not sure it matches any of the remastered dragons on a quick look. Hmm. Unfortunately for me, I have only Theater of the Mind to do this with, so I mean, as long as it looked pretty badass, I'm sure they could pull down just about anything uh, for me, but I'm probably the exception, not the rule there. How will exploration work? Will we be moving miniatures on a grid within initiative? Uh, okay, hi everyone. I'm Alan Miranda, CEO of Ocean Studios and project director of Pathfinder Dragons of Mad. I'm here with Luke to answer your guys' questions. Exploration will be in real time, while combat will switch to turn-based with rounds. Both will use the 3D grid, nice, for movement. Oh, 3D grid system. But initiative will kick in for combat. That's good to know. That could be tedious sometimes. I prefer turn-based RPGs personally, but sometimes movement is just better. Uh, I think Might and Magic 7 would be a really good example of this. I loved the turn-based combat, but I loved the real-time movement, and I loved the ability to switch between it. I also did like the ability to real-time just murderize heaps of goblins that were far below my character's level. But of course, I don't think that'll be the case here. I think the correct solution to this would be Fireball. I'm just saying. Alright, not sure if this was asked somewhere else, but will initiative strictly be perception based, or will it have contextual abilities to use different skills? I'd love the option to automatically go turn-based if a hazard is spotted. In BG3, I found it very frustrating to spot a trap and then see the rest of the party blunder into it before I could hit the button to change modes. How will you handle exploration activities? I don't think that was going to get answered. How early stage is the game currently? There was some skepticism when the recent gameplay update didn't have video footage, but I'm familiar enough to know that these things can happen very early in the development cycle of a game, where you only have an early build and recording footage is awkward for various reasons. A little clarity on this might help calm community concerns. You know, it also is going to help calm community concerns when we have a badass game in our hands. No pressure, guys. No pressure. Uh, I've seen some discussions on this. We've done a huge amount of work in establishing our art style and approach, establishing the game engine. Excuse me. Excuse me. Engine implementing rules and user interface, etc. But we're not quite at the point where we can show gameplay footage. Rushing out suboptimal gameplay footage is a bad idea because it can turn potential players off a game permanently. We'd love to show more gameplay footage of the game, but it has to happen when we're happy with it. I agree with this 100%. So, one of the double-edged swords of crowdfunding as it came is before in game development, the look wasn't really refined or even very appealing early in a game's uh, development cycle. That was stuff that would be developed like really late, unless that was a huge selling point of the game, the graphical detail. The thing that happened with crowdfunding is people wanted to see what they were funding a lot earlier, so graphic development ends up happening earlier in a game's design process than it used to, and earlier than it is actually healthy to, which tends to lead to a lot of projects that would have been fine if they'd have just developed the mechanics early and then uh, did graphical updates later on, into doing the graphical updates early on and running out of resources, and then not having the resources that they needed to get the game functional when they ran into unforeseen problems. It's a lot easier to get industry investment in a game that functions but doesn't look great yet than it is a game that looks great but is non-functional. That's an unfortunate fact of crowdfunding that a lot of people aren't aware of. I agree with their policy here. They need to, by the nature of this game, they need to focus on getting the mechanics working even more than most other video games will, and that's going to be a big selling point. The art style, that'll come. The videos, those will come. This is this is good experience talking here from these guys. I appreciate this. Okay, so just to note, this is very much a Kickstarter rather than a stealth marketing campaign for a game that is already 90% developed. We need the community support to make the game a reality. We're all experienced devs in our own 30s, 40s, and 50s with families and responsibilities. With the support of the community, I absolutely promise we will deliver the best Pathfinder CRPG experience we possibly can. This has been a question we've seen a lot. You could say we're halfway through development since we've been already working on this for 2 years, but it's important for people to know that the first half is part research and development, which is a lot of experimentation to figure things out. It's all about designing the groundwork. We've done that for many things, but still have others to do because some features depend on others. So, building that groundwork requires a lot of effort. Whether you're a small or big team, but for a small team, it takes longer. We're at the stage where we have many components working, but everything isn't fully working. I think I think I think I can say something here because the Streets of Rogue 2 demo is out and it is very bare bones basic, and it should be at this stage. In fact, um, literally the big quest that's in the game for Streets of Rogue 2 isn't fully functional. Uh, what they're saying here is spot on. If you want a good example of what they're talking about here, check out the Streets of Rogue 2 demo. Uh, it's amazing how much this applies to that as well. And I, playing the demo would explain it more effectively than I ever could. Okay, so we're still at the stage where still isn't fully working okay together. And functional gameplay is something that really needs that. We have something rudimentary, and if this had been a CRPG where creatures mainly move on the ground, showing gameplay would have been no problem. But we're doing something that, as far as we know, has never been done, which is true 3D vertical gameplay. Okay, so yes and no on this. I know that this has been tried before. In other genres, there is even some effective working models in some turn-based strategy games, uh, real-time strategy games. This is functional, but not in a CRPG and not the way they're implementing it here. So they're literally building the functionality from scratch for the first time if they get it working successfully, and I have faith that they will. Uh, they will be building this up for the first time in this genre with these specific applications of it. So they are developing some technology from the ground up that has never been used this way before. Okay, but we're doing something that okay. We're doing. I lost my place again. Uh, it's going to take a while until that has been fully explored, tested, and polished enough to show publicly. I think the worst thing we could have done would have been to show an unfinished whip that we weren't confident about because some people would have instantly panned it thinking that's how the game was going to play like. Because the 3D feature is a core selling point of the game, we need to be very careful when and how we present it. The best thing we could have done in this situation is what we did in our recent update. Spot on. Really spot on. Where we describe the scenario with how the gameplay will feel like. I hope that explains things. It is a good explanation, and it does show a mature and experienced team is working on this, which is one of the primary selling points for me. Uh, their experience has been one of the biggest selling points for me this entire project, and this just more and more confirms to me that, and of course I'm risking confirmation bias here, but I believe that they do know what they're doing, and I think they will get it done. Uh, Given the game's minis aesthetic, how does visual customization for PCs work? Can you change your height and such in the character creator? Can you create custom slash default on ground poses for any customized characters, or is it the default pose determined by the equipment you put on any given character? Okay, so default combat poses are determined by the weapons being equipped. I think we're almost 50. There are almost 50 weapon types in Pathfinder 2e, so that would be combat 50 poses for 7 ancestries with 4 different variations. We are literally doing this in probability math in college right now. So yeah, this multiplied by that with 4 different variations. I can figure this right now. Okay, so just combat alone, that is 1,400 poses that they're going to have to be dealing with. And each of those is going to have to be tested and debugged. Okay, here's what I was looking for. Alright, so okay, so you figure about each of these models is going to take maybe 3 hours to model. About maybe another 7 hours of testing. And then texturing slash painting, that's going to be probably another 3 hours of work. So this is about 88,200 man hours, potentially speaking, in just that alone. And of course, that's gonna be divided up amongst the developers and the testers, the art. The when I say the developers, the art department within the game development team. Uh, One of the things you got to look out for with modeling is having five-sided faces or weirdly bent triangles in your mesh. That's where the testing is going to be coming in. And of course, that testing is not going to be done in isolation per each model one by one. Uh, that's also going to be combined with testing the movement system and the interactivity. But yeah, there's 1,400 poses for that alone, uh, and then all the different. That's a lot of man hours of work for these things. This is, and they're 2 years in, so they probably got a lot of this work done already. But it's just gonna be that refining, finishing touches, and part of that man hours, that 7 man hours per one. That's also going to be them sending back the models if they need to be adjusted within the 3D model itself, retextured, that sort of thing. Okay, so this is a how much left to back things. It This is important actually. If if the game is successful, do you think DLC or a sequel is more likely? We'd always wanted to make DLC for additional adventures. Making those stretch goals was a way to guarantee that we'd have the funding to be made, but that they'd have the funding to be made. But even without reaching those stretch goals, we will try to make some or all of them. I really, really hope that some of these dice are going to be DLCs because I couldn't afford them. I wanted them. I want them. Please, please make these DLC available. Uh, I really, really want these dice. We had always wanted to make DLC. Oh, making those stretch goals is a way to made sure they were funded, but even without reaching those stretch goals, we will make some or all of them. We'll have to see how our post-campaign late pledges go, as well as our sales after release. If I get the chance, I am totally going to be upgrading my pledge to include some of these dice. Is going to be next month and the month after to get some of those. But yeah, we'll have to see how our post-campaign late pledges go, as well as other sales rates. Ideally, we want to do them all, and kobolds. I'm just gonna add this in here at the end of there, right at the end here, and kobolds. Sounds good. Only 9K left. This was. I think this today was what was really needed, and this was well timed. Got our game funded for us all to play, and we're gonna play it. We're gonna play the hell out of it. Hello again. Thanks for doing this AMA. Ryan 19. Okay. While I like the aesthetic myself, there have been some complaints in the community about the animation for these assets. So, I have two questions. Will the game use different animation techniques such as squash and stretch, or tilting, spinning, and shaking to add impact and visual flair to give and receive damage? Will there be different options for handling these animations, disabling them, reducing them, only showing them with certain characters, only showing them when a new action slash spell is being used, etc.? Oh, there will absolutely be animations for the miniatures uh, that would tilt, spin, shake, squash, wobble, bounce, etc. Due to combat or environmental effects, when we previously said we weren't doing character animations, it's for body animations like moving arms and legs. Okay, makes sense. That move limbs in real time. We we do body poses in order to have characters match the action they're doing and to maintain the mini's aesthetic. We hadn't gotten to the point of considering making those animations optional, whether partially or fully disabling them, but we're open to our backers' suggestions about that. It's a really fun idea that would add some character to the already unique art style. Okay, so I'm sorry. Unikatse. Sorry. I'm visually impaired, so a lot of these are hard for me to read in the first place, and then when they're hard to pronounce, it's doubly hard. Uh, Piggybacking off this question, perhaps some options on lighting slash filters to make it look a little darker and less bright and colorful, kind of like the look Tailspire has. Sounds like a post-processing effect. I've made a note of that for us to evaluate for implementation. Okay, I mean atmospheric effects, especially spooky things for Halloween season, maybe. I mean, I would love to see some holiday events go into the game, but that's a ways away, obviously. If that's even on the radar. It sounds like okay. Well, if not, then the community can. I think that's probably make some reshade post processing effects. I mean, I know they're not coming out with direct mod support, but I really think that modding is going to happen in this game. I don't see it not. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to cut the video short here. Uh, because my potatoes are about done and ready to be mashed. So I'm gonna call it. This is Above Shaman signing out. Take it easy. Please stop by and read the rest of the Q&A. These are really good questions. I really like the questions and the answers that we've been getting. I saw a couple of questions that I think I would have liked to have seen answered that weren't, at least not yet. Uh, but you guys take it easy, and we're getting it done. We're funded. We're gonna be in Galarian Second Edition. Take it easy.